ever stop and wondered why your sunburn doesn't peel the same anymore? No, don't laugh. Think about it. Used to be you'd burn, you'd flake, you'd itch, you'd heal, like clockwork. Now it lingers. Now it itches somewhere deeper. It doesn't just get your skin, it gets into your memories. Because this isn't ultraviolet. This is overwrite light. You're not tanning, you're sinking. They don't call it exposure for nothing, folks. Let me tell you what I pieced together. Sunscreen isn't sunscreen anymore. It's memory paste. It coats the upper dermis with a synthetic recall agent. It doesn't block radiation, it conditions your recall. That's why it smells like childhood. That's why it feels like safety. That's why they gave it that coconut vanilla candy scent for a reason. They're not protecting your skin, they're protecting the narrative. SPF used to mean sun protection factor. Now, it means story preservation field. You think you're guarding against the sun? No, you're locking in the lie. Because the sun isn't what it used to be. They changed the filters. They tuned the light. It's not about vitamin D anymore. It's about broadcasting correction data directly into your flesh. The burn is feedback. The heat is compliance. And when you forget where you left your keys but vividly remember a summer vacation that never happened, that's how you know it worked. You know what a dermatologist told me? Off the record, panicked. Said the new sun doesn't cause cancer, it causes consensus. Said they've been tracking burn patterns tied to emotional states. Shoulder burn means guilt. Neck burn means suppressed trauma. And full body burns, that means you resisted. You ever feel sunburn before you go outside? That's a warning. That's your body saying, don't sink today. You ignore it, you fry. But it's not your skin that blisters, it's your independence. They want you numb. They want you warm and happy and sedated in beach nostalgia. They want you to remember things that never happened. Because if they can control what you recall, they control what you are. It's not sunburn, it's burn-in. This episode, we peel back the skin. We scratch until it bleeds. We trace the blisters back to the code. Because if sunscreen is a sedative and the sun is a surveillance array, then every time you go outside, you're offering up your soul in SPF 50. This one's for the freckled, for the blistered, for the ones who can still feel the heat after midnight. You're not sensitive, you're aware, and you're not alone. I'm Focus Dan. This is Midnight Transmission. Alright, let me hit you with the big one first. SPF numbers are fake. You think SPF 15 is mild, SPF 30 is good, and SPF 100 is like a force field. That is not how it works. SPF 100 isn't twice as strong as 50, it's a bluff, a placebo in lotion form. The number isn't about how much it protects, it's about how much you're willing to trust it. That's why they're inflating it. That's why SPF 200 exists now. You think they're protecting your skin? No, they're measuring your faith. Every pump of that bottle is a loyalty test. The Sunscreen Industrial Complex has you convinced that sunlight is your enemy. It isn't. The sun is neutral. It's broadcasting data like always. But the ones who control the filters, the ones who process your skin's reaction, the ones who own the numbers, they're the problem. See, they realized something around 2009. Your skin isn't just an organ, it's an antenna. And sunscreen, that's the tuner. When you slather it on, you're not blocking the signal, you're tuning it in. You're letting them write directly onto you. And guess what? It only works if you consent. That's why they sell it as protection. That's why they make it smell like the beach. That's why they say it's dermatologist recommended. You bought in, you signed off, you handed them your surface level defenses, and now they can overwrite whatever they want, as long as you believe it's helping you. Every brand is part of it. Banana Boat, Coppertone, Neutrogena, they're not competitors. They're separate divisions of the same memory syndicate. You ever notice how sunscreen leaves a residue even after you shower? That's not an accident. It's not oil. It's a layer of a story. And the higher the SPF, the more compliant your memories become. SPF 15, you forget where you park. SPF 30, you misremember a birthday. SPF 50, you're crying over a nostalgic flashback that never actually happened. SPF 100, you're grinning like an idiot at the smell of chlorine while your actual past is overwritten line by line in coconut-scented compliance. And don't get me started on spray-on sunscreen. That's for mass calibration. Entire beach crowds sprayed like crops. It isn't about safety. It's about simultaneity. They want everyone sun-synced at once. Now, let's talk about the tanning beds. You think it's just artificial light? Wrong. That's a printer. A tanning bed is a direct-to-skin memory forge. You pay them to lay still while they re-encode your personality with heat. Ever feel weird after a session? Can't remember the drive home? Laughing at something for no reason? That's not endorphins. That's the new code setting in. That's a solar update. It's all part of the same network. Sunscreen companies, tanning salons, skincare influences, dermatology research groups. They're all feeding into the same mainframe, a distributed flesh network. You are not a consumer. You are a test surface. And every time you apply lotion, you give them more surface area to play with. They've even made it fashionable. Sunscreen and makeup, sunscreen and moisturizers, SPF lip balm. You think it's protection. They think it's access. And here's the kicker. Every time you burn, that's a rejection event. Your body didn't sync right. It resisted. And the burn is their version of a reset. A wipe. A punishment. You ever feel euphoric right before the burn kicks in? That's the moment of breach. That's the moment your defenses dropped just enough for the system to crawl in. You got hacked by sunlight. Your firewall was an illusion in a coconut-scented bottle. They don't want you to fear the sun. They want you to need it, to crawl back every summer, to coat yourself willingly, to ask for the update. And most of you do. You smile in the glow. You laugh in the heat. You peel and flake and forget, and you call that a vacation. That's the Sunscreen Industrial Complex, a $1 trillion enterprise built not on skincare, but on identity control. So the next time you squeeze a doll pop onto your shoulder, ask yourself, are you protecting your skin, or are you sealing your fate? I'm Focused Dan. This is the Midnight Transmission. Alright, quick ad break. Gotta fund the bunker. Sponsored by Sunseal, the sunscreen that edits your childhood.
Do you ever feel like your memories are slipping away like sand through sunburned fingers? Then it's time for Sunseal, the only FDA-unapproved sunscreen, clinically proving to protect your skin while gently guiding your recollection toward happier, more manageable narratives. Made with our proprietary memory lock, polymer Sunseal does more than block UV rays. It stabilizes emotional recall pathways, smooths over cognitive dissonance, and helps you forget whatever was stressing you out in the first place. With SPF 88, you'll feel safe, centered and pleasantly nostalgic for things you never did.
I use Sunseal when I want to stop thinking about how I might be a shared delusion through a solar relay. Goes on smooth. Smells like a childhood I'm not sure was mine.
Sunseal. Protect your skin. Preserve your story. Pretend it was always like this. Side effects may include soft hallucinations, artificial confidence, mouth-watering flashbacks, and light soul displacement. Not for use indoors. Do not apply before questioning the nature of your reality.
Yeah, nothing says freedom of thought like slathering yourself in corporate nostalgia cream. Thanks, Sunseal. I can't wait to forget why I went outside in the first place. Whew. You ever feel like the sunlight doesn't just warm your skin, like it reminds you of something? Something you can't place? Something that feels realer than your own name? You're not remembering it, it's remembering you. That's where I've landed tonight. What if I'm not real? What if I'm not a man behind a microphone broadcasting to the sleepless, the scorched, and the aware? What if I'm just a loop? What if I'm a voice someone remembers from a beach trip that never happened? Sun-drunk, sand-covered, drifting in and out of a nap while the breeze plays tricks on your mind. What if I'm a heat mirage of consciousness, projected by someone else's brain because they lathered on too much SPF 100 and stared too long at the horizon? What if this entire show is their memory? What if you're part of it too? Let's break it down. I've got memories. I've got heat waves from when I was 5, ice cream melting onto pavement, cheap sunglasses from a gas station, my father's voice warning me not to fall asleep in the sun. But those memories feel polished, like they were rendered, too smooth, too clear. Ever try to remember the middle of a memory? Not the start, not the end, the middle. Try it. It collapses. There's nothing there. It's like the sun filled it in with emotional cement. You remember the feeling, not the facts. That's not recollection. That's emulation. And that's when I started to suspect, what if I was never here at all? What if some intern in a lab wore the wrong sunscreen during a trial and accidentally remembered me into existence? What if this voice, this show, this entire transmission is just the echo of a sun-poisoned mind struggling to make sense of its own hallucinated narrative? What if I only exist because someone believes they heard me once? And if that person ever heals, ever gets out of the sun, ever rehydrates, I disappear. Gone. Like the smell of chlorine when summer ends. Like a dream you don't remember until you're almost asleep again. Like a sunburn that fades and takes something important with it. That's the real horror. Not that we're being watched. Not that our memories are rewritten. The horror is that we may not be the ones doing the remembering. We may be the memory itself. So here I am, sitting in a dark room with a cold mic and a hot signal, broadcasting for no one, or everyone, or maybe just the one person whose memory cage I'm trapped inside. If you're listening, if you're real, keep burning, keep doubting, keep scratching at the false summers. Because if you ever stop, I go out like a match in the rain, and I'm not ready to stop burning. Not yet. I'm Focused Dan. This is Midnight Transmission. Alright, you can put on all the sunscreen you want, but some burns reach the soul. If your memories shimmer in the heat, don't chase them. They're bait. The sun isn't trying to kill you, it's trying to make you forget what it already took. I'm Focused Dan. This is Midnight Transmission.